What is up, everyone? Welcome to the Fun with Friends podcast. I'm your host, Allie. Joining me on today's episode is Carly.
Hey, guys.
You may remember Carly from a previous episode that we did during the quarantine called Yoga Bar Fusion. So she is the owner / operator / boss badass lady of Love.CarlyStoj. Welcome back, and thank you for joining me today, Carly.
Thanks for having me. I'm so excited to be back on air with you.
I'm very excited about today's episode. In the last time we recorded, you shared a fun fact about yourself that you liked to travel, and that kind of started the conversation about maybe doing future episodes that focused on travel. And through conversation, it came up that you had a pretty unique, I would think, travel experience, and it sounds like it's made to be shared on this podcast. So I'm very excited to hear about it.
It was quite epic.
I know I've made you do this once before, but at the beginning of the episodes, I do like to ask guests what a fun fact is about themselves that you'd like to share.
So, new fun fact about me, I used to not be a dog person, afraid of dogs. And then I started dating my boyfriend, and he invited me over, and he had a dog. And I was like, oh, probably not going to go anywhere with this guy. Dogs are usually deal breaker. And now we've been dating for 1.5 years, and I'm obsessed with his dog, and she's obsessed with me. And I'm a newly converted dog person.
You're one of us now. What kind of dog does he have?
She's a Presa Canario. He also says Canary Island Mastiff, which sounds so fancy.
Oh, so is she big?
She's actually medium sized. She has the brindle coloring. She's brown and black. She's really badass looking. And she's a softie though at heart. So she plays the role of guard dog amazing, but then she just is really a ball of love. It's pretty fun.
What is one of the most surprising things that you've learned about dogs that you may not have known prior to meeting your boyfriend's dog?
Definitely that true connection you feel with the dog. I always say she feels like she's almost human, like one step away from talking to me.
Yeah.
Just that really true friendship and connection and companionship you feel with the dog.
Yeah, I could literally talk about dogs for far too long, but I won't subject the listeners to that. So on today's episode, we are going to be talking about a trip that I'm assuming you won. I don't know the story yet, so I'm excited to hear it. And I don't want to spoil it for the listeners just yet. I'll let you kind of tell them how you won this trip or signed up for it or what the process was. I'm sure that there will be many folks out there that are very interested in it, given today's dating app world that we live in, I guess. So we're going to take a really quick break, and then Carly is going to tell us about this amazing travel adventure that she went on. And we're back. As I mentioned, I'm joined today by Carly, who is going to share a pretty cool travel story with us today.
Yeah, absolutely. So I live in Wisconsin, and if you know anything about Wisconsin summers, it's all about lakes and boating. And if you've never experienced it, I highly recommend it. It's really the best laid back lifestyle and really fun. So I had one of my friends come through from Pennsylvania, and I was like, you just come hang out with me for summer. And so she did, and she couldn't believe, we were boating just nonstop, and she had so much fun. And then she left for Colorado to move permanently there, and she got to Colorado, and she's just like, there's no more boating or water. It's like, it'll come back to us soon. So she moved there in July, and she was unemployed for the first few weeks as she was looking for her job, as I'm here working full hours, 12-hour days. So she gets there, and she's like, there's something you should apply for, the Yacht Week, which is in Europe. And I heard about it. I didn't really know that much about it, but sounds like boating Europe.
Yeah,
But so I was at work this full day, and she's like texting me all day, like, apply. And I was just like, I don't have time for this. Like, who wins these things? So she sent me her video. It was through Tinder and Snapchat, a combo thing. So with Snapchat, it's the 10-second video. So she had to make a 10-second video that went to Tinder through Snapchat that was why they should bring her to the Yacht Week. So her and her sister, who will look almost like twins, put on their American flag outfits and had like a scarf that was American flag themed, and their jingle was, "We put the Y in Yacht Week for why not bring us to Yacht Week." And then I think they looked back and said, "We're sisters." So it was a really cute video, 10 seconds. I was like, awesome, I love it. And, you know, you don't think about it anymore, like, cool. So almost a month later, another day where I was working like 12 hours, I was working at a hotel at the time, just like really grueling shifts that were so long. And I get to my phone again and I had like 30 messages. And it was like, we won, check your email. We had 24 hours to say yes. Oh, wow. And he needed to be able to leave in 10 days and have 8 days off work straight. So 10 days notice, I go to my boss, who thank goodness was my friend at the time, and he's European. And I told him what we want, and he's like, you have to go. I can't even tell you can't get off of work. So I got off of work, and my friend who worked with me, she was going to come. So it was my friend that won, and she got to bring 3 guests. Oh, nice. All expenses paid. 1 week, you get your boat on the Yacht Week. So it's like a sailboat that you live below deck. We had a skipper that was going to sail the boat for us, and then we had a hostess that was going to cook all of our food and clean the boat for us, and like, oh, wow, sort of keep our itinerary for us as well. So we had a few things, like every day it was like, you need to get this form filled out within 24 hours. If we don't hear from you, then we'll move on to the next people. It was very like high pressure, had to make sure we
decision.
Yeah, and then 2 out of the 4 girls didn't have an updated passport. So every day it was like, we thought we had the trip, and then it was like, okay, we might not be going now because of like all these little snags. And every day like, we have to go on this trip. Like in my mind, I was like, there's just no way I'm gonna let this go.
Yeah.
So 2 of the girls had to drive like hours to go to the passport embassy office, whatever you have to do to get the expedited passport. So we got everything figured out, and then once we did, we had round trip airfare just emailed to us. And so me and my friend Greta flew from Chicago, and then the winner, Jen, and her sister flew from Denver. And then we met in Croatia. So you go to Croatia, and the Yacht Week, the one we did was the original route. It's 70 boats that sail in a regatta. So you have a few hundred people from all over Europe and the States.
It is amazing.
Yeah, so Tinder was going to be launching a new part of their app. Mm-hmm. It was going to be called Tinder Social. So it's all about getting singles together in a social environment, like sort of trying to differentiate themselves or extend their brand. So we got picked along with 2 other people from the East Coast and then some British ladies that were really wonderful. And we all had to sign waivers. We had a camera crew with us because they were filming it so that they could use it as marketing for Tinder Social. Wow. So we basically got like this all expenses paid trip just to be like some marketing.
Like that commercial.
Yeah. So Tinder had 3 boats, and then within our group, I think there were 7 people on each boat, so about like 20 something, and then we had the camera crew and then some Tinder people. So it was like pushing 30 in our crew, and then a few hundred people total that we sailed with for a week.
So your boat was pretty good size then. These are pretty good size.
I think they were around like 50 to 70 foot sailboats, probably 40 to 70. Tinder, of course, had like the nicest, newest boats in the regatta. And then we had a few social media influencer people that were also with us, and they got to come because they're influencers. Everyone was just so wonderful, very chill. The whole premise of Yacht Week is you sail around these Croatian islands and then organize parties. They have like where they put all the boats in 2 lines and then you can go in between the 2 boats. They do a circle thing. So there's like 2 big pits and
That
then
is
you
so cool.
a party. And then there's at night we got to go to a few dinners that were like seaside on these Croatian cliffs. And then every single night there was a different club sort of party scene. And because we were with Tinder, we always had the best table, unlimited alcohol. We had the jumbo Grey Goose bottles thrown. I think unlimited champagne. They even had these squirt guns that were squirting champagne.
It was like full reality TV show, like shenanigans, I'm assuming.
Yeah. I don't know if you ever heard of the reality show. I think it's called Towies. It's British.
The Only Way is Essex.
Yes, we had Lydia.
Yes. What?
Chloe Lewis and Lydia Bright were with us. And I didn't know who they were before we met them.
Oh my God. I'm a huge Towie fan. Like, I've been there from the beginning of Towie. I'm truly like flabbergasted by this whole experience. It does not seem real to me.
I literally have chills just talking about it. It didn't seem real to me. And then the first night we, like these most beautiful British ladies, women, I'm like, and what's your name? And then my friends, I'm posting pictures with them on my Instagram and stories and everything. And my friends are like, those are like the girls from The Only Way is Essex. I'm like, I see that now. Like we didn't even know who they were right away.
You're like, wait, what is that?
We're the most fun, like down to earth, so sweet. I have memories with both of them, but one night we were in the most crowded bar. I don't even know what the capacity could be, but it was shoulder to shoulder and it was so hot. Everyone's just sweating and they light the bar on fire because we were all dancing on the bar and they wanted us to come off the bar. But they light the bar on fire. It was just like one of those moments you'll never forget. And I was
cool experience.
Chloe was with me on the bar at that point, but
that is so cool. That's I don't know. That's pretty cool to hear because they seem like they come off as being very nice and pleasant people on the show. So I guess it's nice to know that
they really, really were. I wonder if if you had American reality TV stars, the difference. Maybe I'm just judging, but the British people were so nice and they just really seem to connect to people in a way that I just sometimes don't think Americans do so well, but I was really pleasantly surprised.
Holy shit, man. Like, I just can't get over that this actually happens to people. You know what I mean? Like, you kind of hear stories. Like I knew someone in college who got interviewed to be on the Real World, which I don't think it's around anymore. I was actually talking to someone the other day and they didn't know what the Real World was and made me feel very old.
Yeah.
But I don't think I've ever heard of anyone like actually winning like a trip and like this type of experience. It sounds so freaking amazing.
It really was like one of those things where it's like you couldn't put a dollar amount on it just because the Yacht Week itself is really approachable financially for people. So I highly recommend anyone looking into it. It's definitely the demographic is younger, but I wouldn't be opposed to going back. I was 31 when I went, and I think I was a little bit older. It's definitely like a mid to late 20s crowd, but it's an approachable price point. But everything that Tinder provided we had 1 meal a day out that was like unlimited. It was probably like 3 courses. And then the whole thing was unlimited alcohol, unlimited food on our boat. And then having the prime table at every place you went was just like, you couldn't, it was VIP 100%.
Oh, it's so cool. Like, did any of you kind of have like a moment of like skepticism? Like, is this legit? Like, are we, because
Absolutely. I personally am somebody that will jump into a lot of things without researching. So thank goodness my friends think about things. But it was definitely our parents. I mean, we're all adults, but obviously we still have our parents' influence on us. But when we're telling our parents we're leaving in 10 days for this Croatian adventure, I think a few of them thought we were getting sold into like sex slavery or something.
Yeah.
They couldn't be legit. And then the Yacht Week, when we went, was their 10th year. So at least it was a legitimized business by then that was true and we could find information on it. But the videos, if you go on YouTube and look at them, you see it's like definitely a party atmosphere. So then like people were like, do we want to be like, if we're getting filmed, like could it go where we're like getting portrayed as these really raunchy people? I talked my friends into just like, we gotta just go for it. You can't
pass it out.
So there was definite skepticism and we decided to just go for it.
It's always good to have friends that are just going to push you into doing something, though. Like, everyone needs at least 2 of those people in their friend group.
My friend Greta, who came with us, she is one of those researcher planner type people, and I'm always thankful to have her because I am a go in blind and then just, I love being surprised though, because I don't like having expectations about things. But so she was like buying all these things and knew what we needed to pack. And I was just like, I have swimsuits and like a sundress, like I'm good. Like, let's just go.
You're like, it'll be fine.
I think maybe brought enough for everyone on our boat.
Oh, I would have been like that. I would have been like, okay, we need an outfit for all of these possibilities, swimsuits, 3 pairs of shoes, 5 hats. Does everyone have sunscreen?
It was fun because they had a few theme nights. Like they did a white party, so you needed your white outfit. And then there was one night where we did like glow in the dark body paint type thing. That night, I mean, just every day was like progressively got better and better. But it was a bunch of different theme things. But then they still had yoga sessions. A few
nice.
times. Things like that, but the themes were really awesome. Then one time we did like a sailing regatta race type thing and people had on costumes and it got really funny, like blow up costumes and really out there outfits, and then everyone was sailing next to each other. And so there was almost every day I think was a different theme for something. So thank God we had Greta so we knew a little bit of what was
ready. In advance did you get like the itinerary? Because I mean 10 days, that's
we literally, I remember we had 10 days notice to be able to go, and then I think I can't remember if we had like a few days to like prep and shop and stuff. I'm a big summer person, so I'm very ready to go at a moment's notice.
You're ready for that lake life always.
Yeah, anything summer related. I feel like I didn't like buy that much. I shopped the closet mainly, but the glow in the dark body paint stuff, that I can't even remember who brought that. I think it might have been Jen or her sister. But that stuff was so awesome, and that night it was really fun.
This is literally the stuff that like I like you see on TV and you're like, oh my God, that's so cool. Like, you know, and you don't think about, like, I don't know. My mind is pretty well blown hearing. And I'm also like, shit, maybe I got to get on Tinder and start using Snapchat and start signing up for shit so I can win a vacation.
I know Jen, who's the winner, that she's my best friend. Is Jen and Greta are my 2 best friends. And then Jen's sister was on the trip too. But Jen just won another thing through Airbnb and Tinder.
What?
Yeah, she was on Tinder again. And it was like an Airbnb experience for a date.
Oh
and
my
it
God.
was like at least a few $100 value, like maybe $600 or $1,000. So I haven't gotten the update yet on what this Airbnb experience date is, but I was like, can I be your +1?
Right? You're like, can I be like like your safety person to make sure that everything like goes fine, you don't get like murdered after a Tinder date?
Definitely. I keep telling her she just needs to keep applying for like reality shows.
Yeah, I mean,
I want her to be on The Bachelor next, so we'll see.
Sounds like she has pretty good luck, and I'm also rethinking. I've never been on Tinder, but I might go on there now just to throw my hat in the ring for some trips.
Seriously, the prizes are they're out there though.
That's pretty. She should go to Vegas and play the slots. It sounds like she has like pretty good luck.
She has like just that good juju, good energy.
Yeah, there you go.
What is up, everyone? Do you sometimes feel like something's missing in your life? Like there's more out there that the world has to offer? Are there things that you've always wanted to try, but for one reason or another, you haven't tried them yet? If so, then the Fun with Friends podcast is just for you. The Fun with Friends podcast explores what happens when you stop overthinking and just start doing. It's a podcast about pushing yourself, trying new things, and just getting out there. Whether that's traveling to a new place, checking items off of your bucket list, or starting your own business, we cover it all. So get out there, try something new, and have some fun.
And so really, like, it sounds like there weren't a whole lot of stipulations with the trip other than saying that you were okay being filmed. But like, I guess I'm kind of curious because I always think when like reality shows and stuff like that, they kind of really, it feels like they encourage people to definitely imbibe and be a little wild and crazy. Did you feel like there was like pressure for you to like drink a lot and party a lot so they could really get like the vibe of their kind of marketing that they were going for?
Not at all, which was really, really nice. I think because they were mainly trying to get, video and then action shots. But it wasn't any speaking or, relationship things or anything like that. So the nice part is like the action shots they wanted to get, like one time we had to jump off the front of the yacht a few times, which was like, fun. And they got a really awesome picture of the four of us doing that. And then another day, they wanted action shots of us touring around an old village on an island. So it was more of like a really cute, photo opportunity video thing. I think they were trying to brand also the Yacht Week as not being only the wild party, that you also explore, do yoga, and, chill out. So actually it was less of, I feel like, them trying to film us partying as more of a variety of things. So that was really awesome because there was never an uncomfortable moment or
where you felt like pressured into partying to.
Yeah, not at all.
Oh, that's good. That's good. Yeah, because I always kind of think that that's maybe something that because like when you watch like The Bachelorette or people are just like shit faced and you're like, what is going on?
Well, so funny thing after the Yacht Week, because we posted so many pictures, I think on our Instagrams, and then it was through Tinder and things like that. So our friend that won the trip actually got contacted by Bravo a little bit after that and wanted to interview us for a potential yacht show in Europe.
What?
Which of course we were just like, our dreams are coming true, reality TV stars.
So wild.
It would probably be so awful. But so we went through the whole interview process with Bravo, but that seemed more like, they'd want us to be out of character of who we are. They want the drama. They want you to fight with your friends. They want you like having every person you encounter, things like that. So it was really fun to interview and think about the Bravo thing. But
yeah, again, who does that happen to? I don't know. It's just all like so wild to me. Like, oh, that's so cool though. Like, what an awesome experience. Like both, going on the trip, but then also like the follow-up and having Bravo call you. Like, what?
It was really it was fun. It was epic. Like I said, it was one of those just unexplainable experiences too. Like, you can't put a price tag on it. Showing up and meeting those reality stars from the UK, and then the influencers that we had from the US were really awesome people. One was a surf guy. His name's Eros, which means God of Love. And he was one of the most loving people I swear I've ever met in my life. Really free-spirited and awesome. So just from the people we met to the whole experience, it was insane.
So you mentioned some of the activities you got to do: dinners, like a party, the white party, a glow party. The regatta itself, like the racing, that sounds like so cool. Did you get to go on like any excursions off of the boats? Like, did you get to do like cliff diving or, kayaking around? Or
we went on one of those blue lagoon. I think it's where the water's glowing blue. So we swam one of
bioluminescence.
Yeah, we swam to one of those and we swam through the water, which was awesome. And then we got to explore. There were a lot of like seaside towns on these islands. We were in Vis, Havar, and then one more. I think it's like Strasgard. I can't pronounce. But so we got to explore the towns. The one thing I didn't do, what I wish I would have, you could rent a moped and go through this wine country on the island and tour the winery. And I didn't do it, and I wish I did.
That sounds amazing.
The one thing we did get to do was this Jeep tour to an old fort. And then we had dinner outside at the fort, and the fort was up a cliff, and it was so beautiful. It was one of the most magical places I've ever been. And they drove you up this like side of a mountain to the fort.
So amazing. Have you ever watched like any of the Bravo like yachting shows? Like
I watched Below Deck a little bit more so as research when we were potentially interviewing to be on Bravo.
That's what this reminds me of. I was like, you guys were on like your own like Below Deck adventure in Croatia, courtesy of Tinder and Snapchat. Like, what? Like, so cool.
It was so awesome too, because we actually got to be the guests versus I imagine if I really did get cast on Bravo and on Below Deck, I'd be like, you know, one of the stewardess, I don't know what they call them on the yachts, the host, whatever.
Yeah.
And be working because I work in service industry. So I'm like, I'm sure if I did get on a show like that, you make way more money than work in service industry at home. But to be able to actually be the guest and be like the VIP was really awesome because I'm on the other side of like serving people, and you know, I work for the people usually.
Had you ever been on a yacht like that before, or was this your first time?
The type of sailboat, so my friend Greta that came with, her parents have a sailboat, but it's not as large as what we were on in Croatia. The boat reminded me of in Wisconsin when you go camping and you sort of have those tight, small quarters without like, you know, the bathroom scene is a little like, where's the water from type thing.
Yeah.
So it was sort of a cross between being on the boat, but then also my camping experiences. It was half and half. I personally really like that natural camping life. I'm not big on if my hair is done or I could give her makeup. But I could imagine some people would have trouble on the boat just because your glam routine cannot be very extravagant. Like you gotta be good with what you've got.
Little kind of tight quarters, I imagine. A little bit, so many people on one boat.
I've definitely been on my fair share of boats, so it was an experience like none other.
That's so amazing. So it was a week, 7 days, right?
It was 7 days.
And then did you have the option to like add time on at the end if you wanted to, like on your own dime, or well, I guess you could if you wanted to, but I guess I wouldn't know how the free flight home would work, I guess.
I think we could have changed our flight, and it was not that large of a change fee, but because of our work schedule and it was last minute. I think if we would have had more time to think about it, I absolutely would have extended the trip. But because of the last minute nature of it, we just went with what was given to us. And because our job was already being so generous, giving us that time off with no notice.
Yeah.
Awesome. But I definitely would say if you're going to do a trip that's more where you're losing a lot of sleep, I would say to tour and do things before the yacht week, especially if that's your trip. Because after, it was one of the most tired I've ever been in my entire life. I got to the layover in Frankfurt and I didn't think I could even change planes. I was that tired.
You need a vacation from your vacation.
Yeah. Like the first night we were there, I think I was like, 2 a.m. I'm going to go to bed. I don't want to waste my whole next day. Every night you just stayed up later and later and later because you just were dancing all night long and you didn't want it to end. But then we would wake up still by 9:30 and you just jump in the water to like start your day. You're refreshed.
That sounds amazing.
The sleeping though went down and down. The last night we stayed up to watch the sunrise. I think we went to bed at like 7 a.m. and then we had to be up at 10 and off the boat and everything. And that was our travel day home. So I definitely say like by the end of the week you're just spent because you don't want to waste a moment of the week and you're just running on pure, I think, adrenaline, and you drink, but people weren't getting like drunk, sloppy.
Yeah, like sloppy.
It was more of a paced out, and then you danced so much that like you weren't getting like wasted by any means. But
yeah,
sleeping was definitely not the priority.
I think the real question is, since this was put on by Tinder, did your friends or you find love while you were on this vacation for a week?
Yes. So not necessarily me. I was single on the trip, but I don't know if I'm just picky or no one was really my type.
Or maybe we should say you didn't make connections while you were on the trip.
Yeah, the only
Better way.
I did make on the trip was with somebody. He was such a lovely person, and he night one like said he had a girlfriend, so it was like the only person I had an eye for was taken, and then there was nobody that really like caught my fancy.
Yeah.
The thing. But my friends definitely found love a few times. And then I can't remember, I know for sure Chloe Lewis, she had a crush on somebody too. She was newly single. I can't remember if it was her and Lydia that were newly single.
Gosh, what year was it? Can I ask what year this was?
2016. And Lydia had broken up with that guy that was sort of that jumpy, I don't know.
Arch.
Sorry, Arch, I don't know you. I don't want to.
Yeah.
But so I think Lydia and Chloe were maybe newly single on that trip, and they were so adorable because they were like, how do we do this? You know, they were like, I don't know, they were awesome. But one night when we had the 2 lines of boats, I was with Chloe and we were on this lobster swimming through the middle of the night to try to find her crush's boat. And it was just like one of those things where you're thinking to yourself, like, how am I with this person right now on a lobster?
in the middle of the ocean. Like,
it was awesome. And then if you ever, I can't tell other people's full stories, but there were like rooftop club scenes of people finding love, people sneaking onto the boats when other people were partying, and there's a lot of love to be had.
I mean, truly like a once in a lifetime experience, I feel like, for a lot of people. Like that, yeah, if that happened to me, like, I don't know if I would come back, honestly, but
that was actually the absolute worst part of everything, was coming home. If I could have just stayed all summer, I would have.
Yeah, you're like, do you have a job on one of these yachts? Yes, please, sign me up.
I were a college student now. That would be my summer job. All these kids were like college students or recently graduated, and you can work a week but then take the next week off if you want, and then you don't have a residence, you're not paying rent anywhere, you just go backpack for the week, and then when you come back you live on the boat and then you're making money. So for any young person, go work at the Yacht Week because it'll be like the best thing you can ever do.
Yeah, that sounds like the perfect little job. Do you talk to anyone that you met? Like, do you still like keep in touch? I guess if this was back in 2016, it's been a while, but besides the friends that you went with, did you make any kind of like lasting connections and still talk with folks?
Yeah, one of the girls that we shared the boat with, she was from Rhode Island / New York City. She was a student, so she was really awesome, and I hung out with her a few times in New York when I've been back there. And then it was one of those things, we message every now and then. And then the other winners were from London. They were all really, really awesome girls. One in particular I felt like I bonded with the most, but it's just like we haven't really talked to anyone now for.
Yeah.
And then the surfer guy, Eros, we'll message him here and there. He's always like between Bali, Costa Rica, Florida, but he's really fun to just watch his stories. I think he's opening a juice bar in Florida with like brothers.
Oh, wow.
But he's like been very high up in the surf model world, I think.
I'll have to look him up.
Yeah, he's really awesome. I gave him like a private yoga session on the yacht one day. And he looked like somebody that would have been a yogi, but he was like super open to learning some yoga, so that was really fun.
Oh, so cool. Okay, with that, we're going to take a quick break, and then we will have a couple more travel questions for you, and then we'll wrap it up.
If you're like me and you're just getting started with podcasting, it can be scary and overwhelming. That's why Anchor is such a great choice. It's one of the easiest ways to make a podcast, and best of all, it's free. It also has great creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or your computer. Another great feature of Anchor is that they'll distribute your podcast for you. Your listeners will be able to access your podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many others. You can also make money from your podcast using Anchor, and that's with no minimum listenership. It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place, and it's easy to use. Download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started today.
And we're back. So it sounds like you pretty much lived your best life for a week in Croatia, and I don't think I could be more jealous. It sounds just like it was a truly kind of, like I said before, like a once in a lifetime opportunity to just go like ham for a week and really just live your best life.
It really, really was. It's one of those, it'll be a time I always remember when you don't have a lot of commitments in your life and you can just say yes and go. Mm-hmm. And I don't think my life will always be that way. Even now, like when you're in a relationship, everything changes. But it was definitely a time of being young and free and just being able to seize opportunity, which will be something I'll always remember.
So on this trip, you went with four friends?
3 friends, 4 including me. It was 4 people total.
Do you do, because I know you travel fairly frequently or have traveled a lot, but do you typically travel alone, or do you usually go in kind of like a friend group or with 1 or 2 friends?
I usually travel with at least 1 friend. I know people that are solo travelers and they absolutely love it. I definitely wish I would have tried solo travel earlier in my life. I'm not saying I won't do that, but I'm definitely more of I like to have somebody with me type person.
Yeah, I am going to, I think, maybe next year try my first actual solo trip, because I've gone on a solo trip, but I was with a tour group, so I wasn't actually alone. So I think next year I might try it just to make myself do it, to prove that I can.
You absolutely can. I've met a few people just in the past couple of months in the travel world. One in particular lives in Milwaukee while she's not traveling, and I got coffee with her, but she has been to 84 countries, and she's a major solo traveler. And so I'm like, okay, you're really inspiring me.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
I need somebody to expand my mind, sort of. I think I feel like I've had conditioned fears and, limiting beliefs and things like that I am definitely now conscious of and willing to squash. But I definitely have had a lot of fears, or even I'll book a trip with my friends and I'm still anxious about places I've never been.
Oh, I'm 110% on the, it's gotten better now because I'm now medicated, but I used to get anxiety just driving to the grocery store like 5 blocks away because I was traveling. So I definitely get the travel anxiety, and I'm a planner, which means everything must be planned to like the nth power. But now that I'm medicated a little bit, it's really changed my entire perspective on literally everything. Driving has been a whole new experience for me, because all the things I was feeling, I didn't realize that not everyone feels those things, and it's not normal. And I didn't know that until I started taking anti-anxiety medication, and then I was like, oh, this is what it's like to not, be having like a panic attack while you're driving. Like, what a world.
Our minds are very powerful.
Yeah, so I'm looking forward to actually traveling, like doing an international trip now that I'm a little more balanced and kind of not as anxious as I once was. So experience.
It's very important. I think anxiety has held me back. I say quote unquote held me back, because ultimately it's like you are where you're at, and you can never. I don't like to have those what ifs or like beat myself up over things. It's just about learning, growing, moving forward. But sometimes I do feel like I've let anxiety stop me from traveling at times, or didn't take as many adventurous trips. But I know that I want to open myself up to facing those fears. And for me, it's like once I go somewhere, it really eases that anxiety about that first time place. For me, Costa Rica is somewhere now I've been 3 times, and now I'm like, got Costa Rica down. Like if there's a cheap flight, I'd be like, book it. Like I've rented a car, I've driven there, I can speak a little Spanglish, like doing my best. But my fears surrounding that country are like wiped out now. Of course, you always have to be mindful, but I very much have confidence of, but I want to get that way about going new places too, because it's all about adventure, and it's like, you know, everyone's traveling, like you'll be fine.
When I talk to my therapist, like almost every decision I've made in my life up until maybe a year ago has been based on like my fears and my anxieties. And I feel like I'm completely starting over, like with a clean slate almost now, because I'm literally almost experiencing things for the first time now that I am not like overcome with anxiety always. So it's been, the last year has been like a really kind of eye-opening experience and an adventure all of its own, I guess, through mental health. So I'm looking forward to, experiencing travel and stuff like that, kind of with a fresh perspective on it all. So we'll see how it goes.
It'll be good.
So since you have mostly just traveled with friends, what are maybe like 1 or 2 tips that you would give other like friend groups that are looking to travel together? Like what are some tips that you would you give them to maybe make the process a little smoother when you're traveling with others?
I think you learn a lot about people when you travel, for sure. Find out things about your friends that are different than when you're just hanging out at home. But I think the nice thing about the Croatia trip was that our itinerary was planned literally by the hour. So we didn't have to make any decisions, nor did we have to plan. But I think when you're planning a group trip with people, it's really like what are, picking out some priority things that everyone wants to do, and then managing expectations. Like I have some friends that want to do like 20 things in a day. And then I'm somebody that likes to be more leisurely and not overexert myself. So I think figuring out how you can both, or however many people you're going with, because going with people can be awesome. But I think in terms of time management and then everyone's expectations being met can definitely get a little dicey at times. But I think just communicating openly as best as you can, and then really figuring out a loose itinerary and like what are the biggest things everyone wants to do, what are the priorities. And then sometimes if you do go in a group of people, it's nice because say you have 4 people, well 2 and 2 can switch, like split off sometimes. I went to Europe with one of my best friends, and she's not into art. But then we met up with 2 more friends in another city. And so then I ended up hanging out with the other friend, and we sort of friend swapped in Paris. And then I hung out with my friend's friend that I didn't know her, but we got along great. And we went and we museum hopped together. So I think, having people with similar interests in the group, and then maybe being able to do little side excursions, not as a big group, but focused on what your interests are, is important.
Good communication. I mean, that's key, I feel, in almost everything, right? Good communication, and then, being able to manage time and make sure that everyone's getting to experience things that they want to experience, but also that you're not like, leaving someone out or running people ragged, I guess maybe is one way to say it. So you've traveled to, where are some of the other places that you've traveled?
Croatia, and then I've been to Italy a few times. The year after I went to Croatia, I went to the Amalfi Coast, which was really wonderful. I highly recommend it. I did it on an absolute budget. So anyone out there that wants my advice how to do it on a dime, I spent I do. Maybe we'll do another episode about traveling on a dime, because I need that information. Especially like somewhere like Amalfi is like, that's where people go, and they can spend $10,000, $20,000 in a week. And I think I spent total with all my flights, everything included, like $1,500 for like 10 days in Europe. So
What?
I can show you the ways, but
Yes.
you have to be flexible with your travel time and dates and things, but traveling by plane, cheap flights, and then I did buses, and I think I even took a train, but everything I did was very inexpensive. And then I did travel with one friend, and we stayed in very not high-end places, but very comfortable places, but we never spent more than $50 a person a night. So one of my friends that had been to Amalfi as like his big trip with his wife couldn't believe how I did it. So it can be done. I don't like when people try to limit you because you aren't, part of the 1% or even like going to spend all of whatever, $10,000 for a week. If there's a will, there's a way. And like, there are always spots. I mean, of course there's some destinations that are only luxury, but Amalfi can be done on a dime.
Maybe the listeners will be hearing you again, and we'll get some travel tips on a dime.
I'm a travel hacker, not expert by any means, but I definitely have my ways about going on a lot of trips for a lot less money than what most people. And then I've been a few other places in Europe, and then I've been to Costa Rica. That's one of my favorite places. And then last year I went with my sister to Ecuador. That's another thing, like I struggle with anxiety. So the fact that my sister was going, I always feel so much better when I'm with my sister. She's really good at planning. I swear, it's like I got the anxiety and fear, and she's way more fearless than I
was gonna say Kate is pretty fearless.
Like I always would like be like, how does she not have fear? She's definitely inspired me a lot to keep pushing myself out of my comfort zone. But so if she's doing something, it's much easier for me to hop on board. And once again, I found insanely cheap flights to Ecuador. I think I had some points, but then I ended up making it round trip for $250 or something like that.
Oh.
So
I didn't even like fly to Nebraska for that amount.
That was with some points using. I also use like my credit card always just to rack up the points, and it always adds up. But yeah, I think I have 10 countries so far under my belt. But once I met Sahara, the one that she's 84 countries and a lot of them solo. So I'm really inspired by her, and I hope like just keep following her journey and keep having her inspire me, because she's a really she's an awesome woman.
2 more questions for you.
Yes.
Out of all the travels, where would you rate the Croatia trip?
I am so thankful that I've been blessed with some wild experiences, but no matter what, I think Croatia will always remain pretty high at the top. And I'm thankful for it. It was so fun. It was that one of those things, like you'll never get that moment back. It was like a moment in time that you almost can't believe, like it was real. But it was 10 out of 10. And anyone who's young, I recommend the Yacht Week for sure. It was one of the best experiences, partying, but not the excessiveness of it, if that makes sense. It was like a controlled, it was more about just being free, having fun.
Yeah, just being present and enjoying people.
Living your best life.
I want that. I'm like, I'm going to go to Yacht Week. I'll be like the oldest one there, but damn it.
I even was I get emails from them, and I think they had to put things on hold, but they're trying to salvage what they can for 2020. But for 2021, I was like, okay, maybe I can do this as like, if you can get a group of people. Like I said, the price is not bad, but then I was also, I want to get into entrepreneurship within travel. So then I was like, branding something that's a little bit of an older demographic, not the young partiers, but still the whole, like, my thing I want to do is yoga on yachts potentially, or have like a wellness spin to traveling. But I love boating. So we'll see what the future holds. But
2021, man, we'll get you on there as one of the influencers, the yoga influencer on the yacht.
Yes, yoga and travel.
Totally possible. Oh, amazing. So the last question, which I don't remember if I asked this the first time I had you on the episode or not. I may have. But what's one thing that you've always wanted to do, like a bucket list item, or, it could be somewhere you want to travel? I think I did ask you because I think it was somewhere you wanted to travel, but it could be, like something involving personal growth, or like a learning a new skill of some sort, anything like that. What's something you've wanted to do and you haven't yet?
My biggest thing right now on my list is to get to Bali. So
right, Bali, yes.
I've seen 2020, but it's yet to be seen. But I know I'll get there eventually. But Bali is the place I'm feeling so called to, and just for hopefully it will exceed my expectations, because I have very high expectations. But in terms of being healthy, getting to the beach, doing yoga, things like that, Bali is for sure the highest on my list right now.
So, Carly, I really want to thank you for joining me again. I absolutely loved hearing about this whole Tinder, Snapchat, Croatia adventure. Like, it is truly wild, and what an amazing, unique experience to have. So, yeah, thank you again for joining me. And are there any, the last episode I had you on was to discuss your yoga and bar classes that you're doing. Do you have any updates that you would like to share with the listeners?
I'm thinking about my one friend that I did a retreat with in January is talking about next winter retreat. So everything's just so up in the air. But I am teaching on Zoom still, and I plan on adding more. I might start doing Instagram Live or Facebook Live.
Oh, nice.
Teaching yoga, and then I'm going to do a virtual 40-day sort of meditation and movement.
Awesome.
So I just am organizing that right now.
Thank you again so much for joining me today. And of course, as always, I will include Carly's information in the description of this episode. And I'm going to do some YouTube sleuthing. And if I can find any, perhaps these Tinder ads that were alluded to, if I can find those, I'll definitely include links to them so that you guys can enjoy them and kind of see the party life of Yacht Week. So thank you again, Carly.
Thank you, Allie.
Thank you for tuning in to this week's episode. Be sure to check out the Fun with Friends podcast on social media. We are on Instagram at Fun with Friends Podcast. You can also find us on Twitter at FunFriendsPod1. You can also reach me by email at funfriendspodcast@gmail.com. And you can go to my website, cootscreations.com, for some fun little extras from the podcast. So definitely head over there and check it out. And as always, remember to get out there, try something new, and have some fun. Goodbye.